Hi, I'm Andrea. Thank you so much for joining me for this 30-minute yoga practice. I am standing on a yoga mat. If you don't have one, here's what you can use instead. Find an area in your house that's carpeted, or perhaps you have a rug that can serve as your yoga mat for today. Also, a couple of blocks. 2 thick books are a great substitute there. And a folded blanket, which could be the throw blanket from your couch, or even a beach towel or a thick bath towel. For our practice today, we are going to actually start at the end. We often lie down in our Shavasana final meditation. We're actually going to start from the end, because I believe the end is where we start from. Whether that's the end of a season, the end of an exhale, that's really the beginning of an inhale. So let's find our way carefully onto our mat and onto our backs. And once you're here in Shavasana, let's take one hand on our heart, one hand on our low belly. If you're comfortable, close your eyes. If that's not comfortable, just let the arrows of attention turn inward. Soften your gaze. Nerd out a little bit on the fact that you can feel your ribs like gills against the ground. And when you inhale, those gills widen. And when you exhale, those gills narrow, they subside. Let's stay with just that right now. The rise and fall of your breath, your gills against the ground, the inward turn of your attention. Bend your knees and place your feet on the ground. Scoot your hips to the right and let your knees just splash gently over to the left. Easy twist. Bring yourself down the middle. Scoot your hips to the left. Let your knees gently drop over to the right. Easy twist, second side. Bring yourself back to center. Place your feet hip distance on your mat with your knees to the sky. Palms flat. So easy. Lift your hips gently towards the sky and then just lower your hips back down. Do that 2 more times. Lift your hips gently towards the sky, not your highest bridge, and then lower your hips back onto your mat. 1 more time, just like that. Lift your hips up. Lower your hips back down and roll up with your spine. You're welcome to hold the backs of your legs if that's helpful. A little bit of core work. We're not struggling, but we're definitely feeling like we're working. And then lower back down, palms flat, easy does it. Snuggle your shoulder blades underneath you. Lift your hips up just a little and lower your hips back down. We'll do that 2 more times. Lift your hips up just a little and lower them back down. 1 more time, lift your hips a little. Lower them back down with your feet flat on the ground, roll up. Totally fine to hold the backs of your legs. Let it brew just a little here in your core. 3 moments. Then we lower down and put our palms flat on the ground, and we take those little shimmies of our shoulder blades underneath and our lift of our hips, easy breezy. Lower your hips back down. 2 more times gently, lift your hips. And then lower them back down. And 1 more time. Lift your hips, lower them down, roll up. Feel free to hold the backs of your legs 3 moments like this. Just do your best with this. You may need to kind of abort the mission and find your way up any other way. Hold the backs of your legs and see if you can roll yourself up to seated. Not easy, I know. Cross at the ankles, roll over your knees. Also kind of a challenging thing to find, but make your way to your hands and knees. We're on all 4s. Once we're on all 4s, only our pelvis is going to move. So first, tuck your tailbone underneath you like a little scared cat or a dog, in the case of my dog. And then lift your hips up and find a little sass as you arch a bit in your low back, and then back and forth we go a little bit. So tucking our tailbone and rounding, and then hoisting our tailbone towards the sky. 3 more times, slowly like that. Oomph into your arms so there's no collapse into your shoulders as we do this. Back and forth with our pelvis moving. Now, the next time that you round, let it take you to kneeling. And once you're kneeling, I just want you to make fists with your hands and open. Fists and open. We're doing a few sun salutations. We're going to be on our hands and our wrists, but let's let them warm up just a little bit as we do. Come back to all fours. Spread your hands wide. Feel like there's a circle around each of your palms and that your fingers reach in strong. For a moment, sag into your shoulders. That's what we don't want to do. Now push the ground away and feel how you've rounded up just a little bit into your shoulder blades. Keep that. Step your right foot back like you're flirting with stepping into a plank position. Maybe you put your right knee back down again and flirt with your left leg, or step your left leg into that plank position 2 moments. Bring your left knee and then your right knee down onto the ground. Come kneeling, fists and open a few times. Once more, hands and knees, shoulders right over wrists. We're not collapsed, we're pushing the ground away. This time left foot steps back first, and then right foot might join. Now I want you to imagine that you have a hook in your tailbone. Push the ground away, bend your knees, lift your hips. Down dog, let's step our feet as wide as our mat and come up on our tiptoes. So when you push the ground away, you're lengthening through your torso, that torso that has some core work under its belt from our beginning here. Walk your feet forward to your hands. Arrive at the front edge of your mat with your feet hip distance. Take your hands onto your ankles, shins, or thighs, and inhale, lift your heart. Exhale, hinge at your hips and fold. Inhale, rise, reach, thumbs to the sky, a V, and then let's stand in our mountain, palms face out. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to your thighs, shins or ankles. Slide your hands up, inhale, lift your heart. Bend your knees deeply so your palms can go flat on the ground, and step yourself into a down dog. Be on your tiptoes a little bit, like balls of your feet, and maybe now hip distance, but we're not collapsed into our shoulders, so keep the push of the ground away. Shift it to plank, shoulders over wrists. Bring your knees down onto your mat. Keep shoulders over wrists and your belly firm. Lower all the way down onto your belly. Uncurl your toes and make it sphinx, so your forearms come parallel to the long edges of your mat. Traction your chest through the gateway of your arms. We're not overusing a lift of our chin. We let our chin stay parallel to the ground. Lower down, curl your toes under, and situate your hands next to your ribs. Keep your belly firm, come through all fours. Lift your hips up and back like there's that hook into your tailbone. And then with our knees bent and our hips to the sky, we pause in our down dog. Walk your feet all the way to your hands. Let your feet be hip distance. Slide your hands up your thighs, your shins. Inhale, lift your heart. Exhale, fold yourself back in. And then inhale, rise, reach. Thumbs to the sky, a V. We pause in our mountain. Palms face out. Sun salutation A, and it's a flow. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, a V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to your thighs, your shins, or your ankles. Slide your hands up. Inhale, lift your heart. Bend your knees deeply, palms go flat. We step carefully into a down dog, pushing the ground away, lifting our hips to the sky. Shift it to a plank, shoulders over wrists. Bring your knees to your mat in one piece. Lower to your belly. Uncurl your toes for either cobra with your hands where they are or sphinx with your forearms down. Lower down, curl your toes under, bring yourself through all fours. Find the hook in your tailbone that takes you to down dog, so your hips lift up and back. Walk forward, feet to your hands and feet hip distance. Hands come to our shins, our ankles, our thighs. We uplift our heart. Fold in, slide your hands down your legs. Rise, reach, inhale, thumbs to the sky, V shape, then stand and pause in your mountain. One more, just like that. Inhale, V shape, thumbs to the sky. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to your thighs or your shins or your ankles. Slide your hands up and inhale. Bend your knees deeply, palms flat. Step to down dog. Keep oomping into your arms and lifting your hips. Shift it to plank, shoulders over wrists and knees to your mat. Your belly is firm as we lower all the way down onto our bellies. Uncurl your toes for Sphinx pose or Cobra. Lower down, curl your toes under, come through all fours. Lift your hips up and back for your downward facing dog. And then walk your feet forward to your hands. Feet are hip distance. We slide our hands up. Ankles, shins, thighs, your call. Fold in as we exhale. And then rise, reach. Inhale, arms to the sky, thumbs to the sky. We'll pause. Palms face out. A chair pose is a bend to our knees. Our weight moves into our heels, thumbs to the sky, V shape. Let's do that, then stand and pause with our palms facing out. We'll do that dynamically a few more times. Chair, move your weight back and down like you're sitting into a chair, and then stand and float your arms along your sides, palms face out. Twice more, chair. Straighten and stand. Last one, chair pose. Straighten and stand. This time our chair will launch a sun salutation bee dance. Chair pose. Then exhale, fold hands to thighs, shins, or ankles. Slide your hands up, inhale, lift your heart, bend your knees deeply, palms flat. We step into down dog. Keep pushing the ground away. Lift your right leg back behind you. Step your right foot forward. Often that means help it along. You might want to take your two blocks and situate them on either side of your right foot. For this first one, let's take a little time to refine. Heel toe your right foot to the right. Stay on the ball of your left foot. Firm through your belly. We've got some core work under our belt that we can bring to this. Bend your back knee, come upright, V-shape, thumbs to the sky, a crescent lunge. Some of us will straighten our back leg a little bit, or maybe even quite a bit here in our crescent. All of us will carefully take our hands to blocks, eventually to the ground. Step back into downward facing dog. Option to stay here or to shift. Shoulders over wrists. Keep your belly firm and bring your knees down. In one piece, all the way down onto your belly. Uncurl your toes. Come into Cobra or Sphinx pose. Lower down, curl your toes under, come through all fours. Lift your hips up and back for your down dog. Now lift your left leg behind you. Step your left foot forward next to your left thumb. Feel free to help it along. Maybe bring your blocks into the mix. Heel toe that left foot over to the left so you've got some space. Put some bend in your right knee, your back knee. Come up into your crescent shape. Maybe you start to work that back leg straight. Hands to your blocks and then to the ground. We step back to down dog. Keep pushing the ground away actively. Know that you could rest in a child's pose with your knees down right now, if that feels more like it's got your name on it. Walk your feet forward to your hands. Feet are hip distance and parallel. Inhale, lift your heart, hands to ankles, shins, or thighs. Exhale, hinge at your hips and fold. A chair pose. Bend your knees, sit back and down, thumbs to the sky, stand up and pause. palms face out. Let's slowly flow that. Chair pose, thumbs to the sky. Exhale, hands to thighs, shins, or ankles. Slide your hands up. Inhale, lift your heart, palms flat, so we step straight to down dog. From our down dog, push the ground away, lift your right leg, step your right foot forward next to your right thumb. Come up, probably a bend in your back knee. Maybe you're using your blocks on the way up. Hands to your mat, maybe to your blocks on the way to down dog. Stay in down dog or come into plank position with your shoulders over your wrists and bring your knees gently to your mat. Lower all the way down onto your belly and uncurl your toes. It's a sphinx or a cobra. Lower down, curl your toes under, come through all fours. Let your hips lift you up and back, push the ground away, down dog. Lift your left leg behind you and step your left foot next to your left thumb. Maybe you use your blocks on the way up, maybe a bend in your back knee, a crescent lunge, a V shape with our thumbs to the sky. You can use your blocks on the way down, step to down dog, pause in down dog, or maybe better yet, a child's pose. Then walk your feet forward to your hands. We're hip distance at the front edge of our mat. Inhale, lift your heart, slide your hands up. Exhale, fold in. Chair pose, sit deep, reach high, and then stand and pause in your mountain. Adding a few friends, a collection of friends to our flow. Chair pose, inhale, and then exhale, fold hands to thighs, shins, or ankles. Lift your heart and inhale, and then situate your palms flat to step directly to down dog. Once you're in down dog, keep pushing the ground away as you lift your left leg, and then step your left foot forward next to your left thumb and come up into crescent. Crescent, drop your back heel. Inch your right foot over to the left into warrior two and allow your thumbs to be to the sky here. Pause in warrior two and cheat your back heel, your left heel at a 45-degree angle. Check to make sure that you're breathing while we're here. We'll take our right forearm across our thigh. Our left thumb is up to the sky. You could take your block on the outside of your right foot. So right forearm across thigh or right hand onto block, left arm up to the sky. Some of you like to weave your left arm behind your back. 2 moments together here. We will take our left hand onto our hip and imagine that you're taking a triangle pose that floats only on your right leg, because that's actually what you're going to do. It's a pretty big step, so do the best that you can. Move your block forward, lift your left leg, hug your right hip underneath you so your body is open towards the left side of your mat, and you might take your left arm up to the sky, thumb to the sky. You can weave it behind your back or leave your left hand on your hip. 3 balancing moments together here. Perhaps you keep your left hand on your hip. We step 4 feet back with a straight front leg into a triangle pose. So move your block to the outside of your right foot. Step your left foot 4 feet back. Let's do something to make sure we don't turn this into a collapse and a side bend. Come upright, arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky. Exaggerate the hinge at your right hip. Reach way out with your right hand. Place it upon your block. Option to weave left arm behind your back if that feels better. And then we soak in this stretch. 5 moments here. We'll do 2 things simultaneously, and it's important that you do them both at the same time. Spin on your back toes, your left toes, and bend your front knee. I'm going to take my left hand onto my block and let that be part of what brings me palms flat into down dog. Once you're in down dog, option to stay here or come to your plank, bring your knees to your mat, Lower carefully to your belly. Uncurl your toes for your cobra or your up dog. Lower down enough that you can curl your toes under. Go slowly, mindfully through all fours, and then into down dog. Once we're in down dog, we're conscientious of pushing into our hands and lifting our sit bones. Lift your left leg. Step your left foot forward into crescent pose. You can use your blocks on the way up. Drop your back heel. Inch that left foot over to the right. Thumbs to the sky as our arms extend out to the side in our warrior two, and we pause. Let your right heel, back heel be at a 45-degree angle. Try to make sure that there's a nice vertical line between your left knee and your left ankle, and let's pause. We'll take our left forearm across our thigh, right arm up to the sky. You can take your block on the outside of that left foot. Maybe your recipe is to weave your right arm, your top arm behind your back while we're here. We pause. Three more moments. I think right hand on hip is very helpful. We move our block way out in front of us, a foot, and we will step onto our left leg and create what looks like a floating triangle, hugging our left hip underneath us. Maybe your right hand, your top hand stays put on your hip. You could take that right arm up to the sky. You could weave that right arm behind your back. Your choice. 3 floaty, balancy moments here. We step it into triangle. Move your block with you outside of your right foot. Step 4 feet back with your right foot. And then let's do what we did on the first side. So come upright. Exaggerate the hinge at your left hip. So like a karate chop there. Reach way out, left hand down. Either right arm up or right arm behind your back. And once again, we pause. Five more moments in this stretch. Now, remember that we do both things at the same time. We'll bend our left knee but spin on our right toes. I'm going to utilize my block as part of what helps me find my way onto my mat, into a down dog. And from down dog, look at your hands, walk yourself forward, and carefully sit down, and then lie down onto your back. I'm going to scoot my blocks off to the side so that they are in no way in my way. And then once you're lying down, remember the end is where we start from. At the very beginning, we did some bridge poses. We might go a little bit higher with our hips. We're not forcing anything, but palms flat, or sometimes what I like to do is hold the edges of my mat, snuggle my shoulder blades underneath me, and when I lift my hips up, I try to pull my mat apart and try to pull my mat away from my head. So that could help you further the experience of your bridge without making it extreme in any way. 3 moments here. Then lower your hips to your mat and cross your right ankle on top of your left thigh. Take your right hand through the space, or maybe this is enough. Put a little oomph into your right ankle. So instead of a floppy, sloppy ankle, curl your toes back in dorsiflexion. Right hand through the space, maybe around your hamstring, maybe around your shin, or like I said, you could just leave it where it was before. You could put a folded blanket or a block under your head if you feel that there's a lot of struggle going on there. And then let's get still and quiet here. I'm going to be silent for a full minute. I haven't forgotten you. I want you to have the chance to stretch into some meditation. Gently place both feet on the ground. Let's switch that out. Left ankle on top of right thigh. Left hand through the space, only if you need it, around the hamstring, around the front of your right shin, anything that you would find helpful underneath your head, and then a full minute of silence here. Gently release this side. Place your feet as wide as your mat. Knock your knees together. Shimmy your shoulder blades underneath you and lift your hips just an inch. Place them gently back down onto your mat and either stay like this or extend one leg and then the other leg into our final Shavasana meditation, and the end is where we start from. Remember, we started here. Close, maybe cover your eyes. Let yourself let go. To stay here in your Shavasana final meditation as long as you'd like. If you're ready, draw your knees into your chest, roll gently to either side, and come up to any comfortable way to sit. Your palms can go up or down. I'm Andrea. Thank you so much for practicing with me.